Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Now What Next Steps podcast here at Malibu Pacific Church. Hey, if you haven't listened to this past week's sermon yet, May 5th, please go back and listen to that because this is a supplemental podcast that talks about the sermon. But you know what? I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. You're still here listening, and we got...
I'm Andy. Hey, everybody.
Andy. If you don't know Andy, lead pastor Andy Vomsteeg here, everybody. It's first time on the show today.
Yeah, made it, finally. Took forever. Finally here.
We're here. Hey, so brand new series.
Yeah.
And it is incredible. It was a big reveal. There's a lot to go over in this podcast. I'm really looking forward to this one. All right, so let's start with it. Making room for more.
Yes.
2 months ago or so, we had an amazing guy come out by the name of Jeff Good. He's been around the church. You maybe know who that is. He brings a lot of good, cool clarity stuff to the church. And we sat down as a staff, and we just hashed out kind of plans for the year and how to make room for more.
That's right.
And that idea came out, or that name came out of that session. We did like 2 days of like sitting there saying, how can we make room for more? And all of a sudden, boom, that's the name of the sermon.
Yeah.
So when did the lightning go off for you when you heard like those words?
Well, I think it resonated with everything that we're doing. We need to make room for more.
Yeah.
But it's actually part of God's character. He's constantly making room for more people. Mm-hmm. So we went through basically the history of humanity from the beginning with Adam and Eve.
Thank you,
and
AI.
God was always making room for more.
Yeah.
And that's a big reveal also in the book of Acts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, Jesus is also hanging out with outsiders.
Totally.
And inviting them in to be a part of the team, the club, and his tribe. And then that's what the Apostle Paul was doing in the entire book of Acts. Is church for church people was really the issue.
Yep.
Or is church for just church people, or are we okay with allowing unchurched people into the church, meaning the Gentiles? Because it was Jewish Christians or followers of Jesus were Jews,
mm-hmm.
and then the Apostle Paul started making room for more.
Yep.
That it was for everybody.
Yep.
But when you look through history, all the way back to Abraham, he was also, or God said, "I will bless you, so you can be a blessing to the nations,
Totally.
to the world."
Totally.
So it was built into God's message to His people from the very beginning that God so loved the world. John 3:16.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we're doing it. It resonated with me because that's the character of God.
Absolutely. Making room for more. And I love that you just were saying we're just not playing church. Like we're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And one of, I think, my favorite sayings, and this has resonated in my heart so much because I think this is Youth Ministry 101 would be to reach people nobody is reaching. We need to do things nobody else is doing.
That's right.
And that's what was so fun in youth ministry, too, is that it's kind of just like a sandbox. It's like, yeah, play this game called Chubby Bunny where you stick a bunch of marshmallows in your mouth, and somehow people are finding Jesus that way.
I remember that game.
Exactly,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
It's like, yeah, we don't just play dodgeball for the sake of dodgeball. We do it because it builds community, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And so you're doing things, you're reaching people, and doing things that nobody else is doing, which I just thought was so awesome. I think there was a moment in the sermon when you're talking about seat fillers. And
got a little quiet.
Maybe
that was a mistake. I don't know.
No, I don't. No, man, I think you hit a nerve. I really think you did because it was like oh.
We don't need seat fillers.
We don't. Watch online.
Get out of the sidelines, off the sidelines, into the game.
Yeah.
But just sitting there on the seat on a Sunday morning is not helping us.
Totally.
Because, we've been saying that Christianity, from the start, when Jesus said, "I'll build my church," it is a movement, so we need you to move with us.
Yeah.
We need you to move.
Yeah.
Coming and sitting in the seat and leaving and not participating in, but just simply being a consumer, well, you're not in the game.
Yeah.
You're not helping to move the mission forward.
Yeah. And in that moment when it got quiet, what was your reaction? Because I mean, I felt it because it was like it's weird to say, like a smooth burn, it's one of those, like when you get into a hot tub, and it's like, it felt like that, at least for me and all of that. Because it felt like in that moment you're like, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't. And then you actually doubled down, which I liked. I was like, nah, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, let's not play church. Let's not just be seat fillers. Let's not. I mean, playing church is, I went to church, I sat in the pew for an hour and left. Well, Jesus never said, come to church and at 10 o'clock and sit in the pew and leave. He said, come follow me.
Yeah.
Be a part of this mission. Go into all the world and make disciples. So the operative word there is go, get involved, be a part of it, follow Jesus. Let your life reflect the nature and character of who Jesus is. And so, I mean, come follow me, even that term it's an action, it's a movement.
Yeah.
You're following the rabbi. So the whole idea, it's such an American phenomenon, I think, that we would go to church. I'm quoting now. I don't know why I'm...
Air quotes are happening.
Yeah, air quotes. I don't know why I'm doing that.
To church.
Going to church.
You can hear it in the voice.
You can hear it in my tone. That's not even in the Bible. There's no place to go to church. Yeah. So we've talked about that the last several weeks. So at some point you need to say, hey, and this church is moving. We're making room for more, and we need you to be a part of it. Absolutely. Otherwise, it's okay to watch it online. It's all right.
It's all right. Yeah.
It's okay.
And when you're ready to get in the game, doors are open.
We're here.
We're here.
We're here for you.
But we're in the game. We're in the game. Exactly.
Yeah. So I guess it stung a little bit maybe, but...
I think it was a jacuzzi, like hot jacuzzi sting. Like, all of a sudden it's like... But then I think within seconds people were used to it and was like, you know what? Yeah.
Well, let me say this. I don't know if you were going to ask about it, because influence is a stewardship. And we are... stewards of this, and I feel responsible. So
totally.
It is my job to poke the bear a little bit. It is my job to say, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
And like every coach showing up to practice, okay, everybody get your cleats on. Here we go. We're going to practice. Let's go. I mean, we're getting ready for a game.
We're doing this, yeah.
So I need to do that as a coach or pastor or somebody who is responsible to say, come on, let's go.
I think
otherwise a coach shows up to practice and says, let's all sit around and talk, or I don't know.
Well, that's the thing.
That's why I have practice. I mean, that's your joy to sport.
If somebody were to say, oh, I left Malibu Pacific Church because Andy said those exact words, I was like, well, then you've missed the entire point of what we're trying to do here in this local body. And that's okay. But I'm telling you, nobody said that. I think that it was the initial, the poking the bear, and the way that you did that, I think was, I mean, I would say everybody say it's phenomenal. I know I've said this before, but like so many people just felt the conviction without the guilt, and that was I think so phenomenal. I had 2 conversations out on the patio that's just like, wow, what a convicting message. And I was like, yeah, what do you mean? They're like, no, it's just so powerful because, and they used the word, it empowered me.
Wow,
it empowered. It didn't feel guilty, and I was like, whoa, a church didn't make you feel guilty? We're doing it.
Yeah.
That's
good.
So
that's a win.
It totally is a win. So I think that, that trust and everything is just there. It's so cool. So then the big reveal happens, confetti cannons, the children were people were applauding and they were excited. And when did you know that we needed to go to 2 services?
Well, probably 2 years ago. But just didn't feel like we were ready. You need, maybe from day one, I've been here 3 years now, you should always plant a church automatically with 2 services for the sake of the volunteers, so that they can go to one and attend one.
Oh, that's it.
I have not been comfortable here with just one service. I don't care what the attendance is, for the sake of the volunteers.
Yeah.
Because the people in our children's ministry and student ministry are sacrificing not going to church to be a part of our kids' ministry and help, build into the next generation.
Absolutely.
So that's why, and I don't think most people even think that way, but or realize that. We're thinking, oh, we want 2 services to have more people come into the main auditorium or the sanctuary. No, it's for the volunteers.
For sure.
And the people who aren't volunteering, might ask, well, I don't know, there's still a few seats here and there. Yeah, I can tell by asking that or saying that, you're not volunteering, are you? Because you're not sacrificing anything.
Totally.
So every church, I believe, I shouldn't say every church, but every church plant, let's say, should have enough critical mass for at least 2 services so that people can serve in one and attend one.
For sure.
Yeah. Larry Osborne down in North Coast, if you're listening in, Larry, great pastor, listen to all his stuff. He wrote the book Sticky Church. He always, this is what I heard him say. He can correct me, somebody out there, but I've been to conferences and heard him say personally, they start churches with 3 services. Because one service, I'll see if I can get it right, pays the bills for the electric and buildings. Second service pays for the staff. The third service pays for the ministries of the church.
Yeah.
So they always start with 3 services.
Wow.
I know. That's not easy.
That's
but
not easy,
if you launch with a church that's ready to go with 3 services, that's a pretty healthy launch.
Absolutely.
It's not hanging in there with 20 people and hope this works.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So we should be at 2 no matter what and grow into it. But I don't know if you've noticed, if you've been here, we definitely are. The old rule of thumb is if you have 75% of the seats filled, you're full and should be going to 2 services.
Yep.
So we're definitely at 75%.
Absolutely.
And somebody said this or asked us on Sunday about the seats and the seating and so forth. And I said it, and I'll say it to everybody here also as we explain our logic behind it.
Yeah.
The problem isn't the seats. I've never had a problem with the church with seats on Sunday. The problem with churches is they don't have enough parking. So we have people parking all the way up Malibu Canyon Road.
Yep.
So if you haven't been here, it's this really busy street. You can explain more. People are up and down this thing.
It's one of the major arteries of Malibu. There's like 3 of them, PCH, Canaan, and Malibu Canyon. And this is probably one of the main ones.
And it's not safe to be out there
none whatsoever.
Parking and walking down this thing.
1 lane each way.
Yeah.
And you have cliff sides on the other side.
And
they close it often.
Fast.
So fast. Yeah. It's one of those coming off of Mulholland. You want to see the ocean. And right where you turn off and see the ocean for the first time is where Malibu Pacific Church is.
Yeah.
So it's a great location for people to pull into the parking lot and all those kinds of things. But it is dangerous. And I think we only have how many parking spots? 92, 98?
90 something.
90
exactly,
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and most of them are compact spots too. So
it's really bad.
If
you have a big car.
If you have a big car.
I'm out on the parking lot team, and it's hard to park into those things.
It totally is. And so having enough parking for those 2 services too is great. And something that I've noticed is that I've seen new cars pull in at like 10:20, 10:30.
Yeah.
They don't see any parking. I see them in the lot, and they just drive away. And it's like, oh, man.
Learned that one from Bob Schuler. Anybody remember? It's Crystal Cathedral,
Los Angeles. There we go.
Drove all the way down here, went to a conference years and years ago. He was one of the first ones to do leadership conference. He was way ahead of his time. And when you hear the story of the Crystal Cathedral, he was ahead of his time. That he said we wanted to be near a freeway for easy access. And number 2, television was this new invention.
Yep.
And so I thought this is a great tool that we could use to get the message out.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what? We're not doing anything different now than Bob Schuler did when LA was starting to grow up. But in the conference, he said they measure church growth by the parking. He said, I was up in my office and I was looking down, getting ready for church, and I was praying and getting ready for the service. And I saw a car. My office windows looked down onto the parking lot. And I saw a car pull into the parking lot, drove around twice, and then drove away.
Oh.
And he said, I never, ever want to see that again. So I think they bought, you may know, 40 acres of orange groves. Or give me the number. I can't remember what it was.
It's near Disneyland. So they bought so much property down there. They
and
owned
put it in
everything
parking lane. And put parking in. Because he said, if we don't have the parking, it doesn't matter how many seats we have inside.
Totally.
So it's true. I mean, what he said is true. And also going to a restaurant or going to the grocery store and I can't find parking, I give up. I like, forget it.
How does Trader Joe's stay alive?
I don't know.
They pick the smallest parking lots.
But they have a lot of, they have a lot of checkout workers. And they don't have more than 2 people waiting. If one person is waiting, they open up another line.
That's very true. They want to get people in and out.
They're in and out. That's right. And the reason why restaurants have red carpet is because red makes you agitated, so it keeps you in and out, keeps it moving. So anyway, that's one of the theories I heard. But we need to go to 2 services because. A, parking, B, for our volunteers, 3, because there's early morning risers and late morning risers.
Amen.
Yeah. So when you have a service in the middle, you are missing actually 2 segments of the society.
Totally.
And it's for real.
It is.
There's people who like to wake up early, and there are people who wake up late.
Yep.
And if you don't give people options, they will choose. They'll just choose not to show up.
Yep.
So there's a whole segment of society I think we're missing out on by not having 2 services. That's just personality driven.
For sure.
So those are 3 reasons.
That's awesome.
Why we're going to 2 services.
That's awesome. So if people listen to the podcast right now, are wondering, and I had a lot of the questions where this isn't in cement, but like leaning, say there's like 2 times. Well, what would be the times? Because people, that was the big question. What are the times? What are the times?
I would love to hear from you.
Well, right?
Respond.
Exactly.
Please respond.
Yeah.
At Joel at MalibuPacific.church or Andy at MalibuPacific.church. Well, we're batting that around a little bit.
For sure.
Right now, we landed, I think, at 9 and 11. But I am curious about Malibu, and I am curious about your answers.
Absolutely.
Because those 30 minutes do make a difference, especially if you have a family. To leave the house at 8:30 versus leaving the house at 9 o'clock.
Yep.
That's a little early.
Yeah.
But the problem on the other end is you only have a 30-minute turnaround. So you go if it's from 9 to 10, you have an entire hour. But you may miss a group of people, especially families, because you just can't get out the door.
For sure.
If you go 9:30 to 10:30 and then an 11, you only have a 30-minute window of clearing out the parking lot. So there's pros and cons to each one. I'd be curious to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So please, send those answers in. Joel at MalibuPacific.church and Andy at MalibuPacific.church. And what would work for you? That's kind of the beauty of this, is that we're launching 2 services and the times aren't cemented in or anything like that. But we know we are going to 2 services because of the growth that's happening here. Yeah. Like, let's celebrate that. Wow. It's so incredible. 2 services. So, before the big reveal, you had 4 things about being bold, and I wanted to go over those one more time. Number 1, invitations. Yeah. Those are huge, right? How I know we've shared this before, but I love that visual of there's been somebody that's been praying for this person for a month, a year, 5 years, 10 years, a spouse, a grandparent or son, a daughter or whatever, and there's one shot. And in that invitation, they say, yes, we want to make sure that every Sunday matters. Yep. So you better believe that we are doing everything that we possibly can to make sure that every environment is perfect and ready to go, because your invite is actually one of the biggest things to happen. That's like number 1, right?
That's right.
Yeah. It's how the church grows.
It is. And you start seeing the church through their eyes. So it helps you fall in love with the church. It helps you be critical about the right things.
Totally.
And so, secondly, you've gained their trust. So 80% of people go to a restaurant, a store, or buy a product because a friend or a relative told them about it, because there's trust already built in. Totally. So when you invite somebody, they will come, and do not underestimate the power of an invitation. They will come because they trust you. You have a relationship with them. Yeah,
absolutely. Next one is volunteering, and I love that you already talked about the come to one and serve at one. Yeah. I think that is such an amazing model, where it's like, hey, no, go to the service, enjoy that service, and then go volunteer, because life change happens. You're literally implementing putting into practice what you just heard, or you're serving and then going and worshiping and having a little bit of just awesome time with God, And the best thing is that both of them is considered worship.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's where we need you to get in the game.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Get in the game. And then giving. It's already on TikTok, and there's some views already of Andy saying, "We don't need your money."
That's right.
And I was like, "Wait, Andy, what are you saying? What are you saying?" And it's like, "No, we don't need your money." And
we don't.
You don't, right? And man, that was so freeing, because you literally hit at the nerve of why you give.
But if we're going to move the mission forward,
yep,
we need you to give.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because if we're talking multi-sites and campuses and growing our broadcast and doing more, but if we're just going to play church and pay the bills and pay the staff and make sure the electric bill is paid for, we're good. We can do that.
Yes.
But if we're going to move the mission forward, no, we need you to give and be a part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I even like that you were like, one of my prayers is to just say we're good.
Yeah.
And I laughed really hard at that, because that is such a temptation. It's like, no, we're good. Everything's good. We're just kind of just cruising.
Yeah.
And that's when I think, evil is like, oh yeah, just keep them there. They feel they're complacent.
They're complacent.
Yep.
That's good. That's a good word.
Yeah. So, and then last, and this was the highlighted one, was prayers. We need a lot of prayers. Like this is really big step for this body. And I think one of the best things, walking out on the patio afterwards, having a great conversation. Man, I love our patio environment. Can I just say that again and again and again? Not a single person said, "Oh, but I'm not going to see a friend because I might go to the later one or the earlier one." It was just, no, this is awesome. It's growing.
I wasn't even thinking that. You were here in the whole transition of the church, and I guess you're saying things that would have been said before.
For sure.
Yeah, and so I wasn't even expecting that. It was good for you to say that and help me think through that in case somebody asked. But that was an issue. It typically is the issue of a single cell church.
Totally.
So yeah, I mean, it's a reality, but nobody said it, I guess you said.
No, I didn't hear
that they hear.
They didn't hear a single thing.
No.
And I was kind of thinking I'd hear a couple of them. I was like, all right, and we'll talk to them, You'll see them in between the services.
Right.
Or you know what you do? You volunteer with them.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Find out where they're volunteering, right?
Yeah.
Go serve alongside them because you love those people.
Or you can go out to dinner with them. Go hang out with them.
You can hang out not on Sunday
Not
morning.
on Sunday with them.
You can?
Yeah. So there's a lot of options there. Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of options, Andy.
But you're right.
Yeah.
I think, I guess what you're saying, the feeling is church isn't about me and me going and see my friends. It's keeping an eye, and that's this week, on that person who's far away from God, who's not connected with God.
Yep.
That's our focus, not going and seeing my friend.
For sure. I think the mentality that you've been really instilling into people and empowering and equipping people with, is that it's not about me. It's about something bigger. It's about God. And I think that is so good, and it's really humbling, especially in a city like Malibu and the surrounding cities, where every advertisement, everything that's probably thrown at you is about you and how to make,
That's right.
And you're saying, hey, it's not about you.
No.
Yeah. And it's wonderful. And I really honestly believe this church is getting that. So thank you.
Yeah, I felt it. Thank you all for being a part of it. It's exciting.
Very exciting. All right. So we're making room for more. Session number 2 is coming up. Really, really exciting. Is there a little tidbit you want, a little sneaker? You want to?
Oh, you just got to be here. It's Mother's Day, so there's going to be lots of goodies for you.
Oh, fun.
And you're going to hear about a little bit more why we do what we do, and exactly what you're saying at the end is keeping our eyes on the main thing, the most important thing. And I'll just say this: it's that prodigal child. As long as there's a prodigal child out there, or somebody who is disconnected with God, we need to keep making room for more. There's room for them at the table.
Absolutely. So session number 2 coming this Sunday, May 12th, on Mother's Day. Check that out online or on site at 10 a.m. this Sunday. And on top of that, yes, there's going to be we have a little Mother's Day celebration that's happening right after the service. So mom and mom-like figures, come out. We're going to celebrate you. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful Sunday because you are a part of it and God is in control. So with that said, thank you so much for listening to the Now What Next Steps podcast. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please hit that subscribe button right now and share this podcast with a friend. If you listen to the sermon and you're like, wow, that was really awesome, or even if it wasn't awesome, send it to the person that needs to hear it, all right? And let's invite some people to church. Let's start at step 1, all right? With that said, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Take care.